Well, hello there. It's another day. I'm Jim Harrington.
And I am Bill Knight. How are you today, sir?
Hanging in there, Bill. It's been an interesting 24 hours. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, did you see this? Everybody's talking about the Ebola outbreak in the Congo, in Africa.
Yeah, I did. And, they're blaming it. I mean, hang on. Let me pull up my little story here on this because it was all over, political, CPR, NPR.
Yeah. I think NPR is on CPR right now.
Yes. They ought to be. They're on life support. Anyway,
Yes.
NPR, Intercept, Wired, etc. They argue that Trump's dismantling of U.S. aid, big cuts to foreign aid, global health programs, and withdrawal from WHO weakened the disease surveillance. Well, let me explain something to them. It's not Trump's fault. The reality is that Ebola outbreaks happen periodically in Central Africa with all those agencies, due to the spillover of animal to human, poor local infrastructure. It's happened under Obama and, all the Democrats and Republicans. This is, I hate to say it, an African thing because of the poor infrastructure. Those agencies that bilk us for millions or billions of dollars obviously didn't go in to do anything to fix the infrastructure. Now, did they?
Well, here's the thing. Now this may sound crazy, folks, but you can call me a conspiracy theorist if you would like, but
it's a distraction.
But they're trying to, I think, they're trying to create an issue that may end up, dare I say, putting us maybe into masks or maybe sticking us in our houses for a while. Does this sound familiar? And, oh, my God, we have elections coming along. How do they get the votes in? Well, we can have them mail their votes in. We can get back to mail-in ballots again.
They've been teeing this thing up with the Hunter virus on the ship, and now they got the Ebola. Let's scare them.
Well, the Hunter virus didn't. The Hunter virus didn't take off for them. They tried to sell that. It didn't work.
They're still trying to sell it.
Yeah, well, now the Ebola thing, well, if we can't get the Hunter virus, let's really scare the hell out of them with Ebola. An American doctor and his wife, the doctors got Ebola. He was sent to a quarantine hospital in Germany, but the Germans are happy about that. And his wife is under quarantine there with him. So he's sick, he's got Ebola, and she's being locked down essentially because she was around him when he was sick. And what they're saying is, well, if those two have it, I mean, how many people could get it here? Mind you, this is a country that opened our doors for anybody and everybody for 4 years, thanks to the, dare I say, leftist lunatics like Joe Biden. And anybody could come in. They could have had Ebola. They could have had Hunter virus. They could have had both, dare I say. And they didn't give a damn. But now, all of a sudden, the left is concerned about the possibility of an Ebola outbreak. It's in the Congo, like Bill said. They've had these before. Unfortunately, they've had them many times before, and it doesn't mean we get it here.
We've gotten things close, like E. coli breakouts down in Florida, because they had farms down there that had, I think, migrant workers down there. Out there, and the cattle would be out there doing their business, grazing in the grass, and the business got mixed into the irrigation water, which then got into the crops, and therefore it was contaminated. Went to the lettuce went to the stores, and people ate it, and then E. coli. Well, it works the same way. So they had to sit there and refix their irrigation down there. We've had it here before, and this was way before Trump was ever in office. I'm sorry.
My heart goes out to anybody with Ebola. It is a vicious, deadly disease. You get it, and if you're not treated quickly and efficiently, the chances of you living are very slim. You have things like bleeding from your eyes and your ears. It is a terrible, terrible, painful way to go, and you don't want that for anybody.
Let me just ask a simple question. We know what causes it. It's basically animal no-nos getting mixed into the water system. And, we've had all these things that Trump did cut funding to in association with that for years fought against this and never fixed the problem. Did the money ever go down to fix the
Now,
infrastructure there?
is that does animal no-nos in the water system cause Ebola or E. coli? They're different, and they get confused.
Yeah, there is a difference there, but according to what I'm reading here, the outbreaks happen periodically in Central Africa due to zoonotic spillover, animal to human, poor local infrastructure.
Which would be sewage and stuff like that.
Yeah. No. And
What's that funny taste in our water, Ma?
I don't know. It has a certain. Well,
je ne sais quoi. Yes, I know.
If that's what you call it.
Yes. So, folks, they're trying to tee us up, in my opinion, for mail-in ballots, mail-in voting. That is the ultimate way to steal. They can manipulate mail-in ballots. They can, you talked about it last time around. Trump is getting ready to drop the hammer on some very important news from 2020. I mean, honest to God, it's only taken 6 years, and he had to get reelected to get them off their rear ends to investigate it. But apparently they got some really interesting stuff, and he's going to prove that 2020 was stolen. One of his, I guess his chief of staff, Susie, what's her name? I can't think of her last name. She said on television this weekend that we got it. We got all the information on 2020, and we're going to be able to prove that it was stolen, whether you like it or not.
But here's the problem with that. They say we got it, and I believe they do. But somewhere is a liberal judge, or a woke judge that's teeing up the ball going, oh, they ain't going to get anywhere with this. I'm going to hit them with this or that. Because laws are kind of weird to where they're loose-ended, I always think, to where nothing's absolute. So somebody can sit there and go, well, have you thought about this? I'm going to do an injunction on this. And then it gets overturned.
It's true.
Somebody else comes in. There's always a loose thread in every damn thing.
Case in point, yesterday in Virginia, mind you that ICE agents are federal agents, and they don't need permission from the state of Virginia to be anywhere in pursuit of criminals. They don't need permission. That being said, yesterday, the leftist lunatic governor of Virginia, Spanberger, she went on television, and she said she's going to she issued an executive order to keep ICE away from voting places. Listen.
You heard it first here. Tomorrow I'll be issuing an executive order. So, surprise, sorry to my comms team on this one.
Let it out, Governor. Let it out.
In ensuring that we are putting out from the state level some guidance across public spaces, including polling places, of how Virginia state employees or people who are working in support of Virginia's state-run elections can react to, in this particular case, federal agents who might be appearing at a location and where the worry is that they're principally there to intimidate or scare people.
I'm telling you, folks, there's going to be a challenge. If they think they can stop a federal agent in pursuit of criminals, if the federal agents think that there are going to be a significant number, or even a handful of illegals at these polling places, then they have an obligation to be there to arrest them. Never mind, they don't need Spanberger's permission. So I think, in a way, Bill, this is a bit of grandstanding on her part. I think the executive order will be, it'll be issued, and that'd be wonderful. But I think the federal agents will probably shrug it off like another leftist, ploy to make them look bad. I feel bad for ICE agents because the left has determined that they are the SS of the Trump administration. The stormtroopers of the Trump administration. These people are out there. They're law enforcement officials.
Yeah, yeah. And look, the left likes to, I'm not going to go into the story here, but the simple fact is, the left is out there to try to regain ground that they lost a long time ago. They want to sit there and diminish. I don't even want to say MAGA or anything, but conservative valued people to a mere 30%. Somebody did that attack on me, saying, "Well, you're that 30%," and then they went on to call me a racist, a Nazi, and everything else. When none of the above were anywhere in it, it was a simple correction to say that story was not fact checked, they came unhinged. If you question anything they say, it is, it's a kid having a rant, having a hissy fit.
Remember what Hakeem Jeffries said yesterday?
I guess part of how we as House Democrats view this moment, either MAGA extremists are going to break the country or we're going to break them. And our goal is to break them. We will defeat them. We have to beat them electorally, and then we have to break their spirit. Because of the extremism that's being unleashed on the American people, that's completely and totally unacceptable.
Unbelievable.
See, he's framing us as MAGA extremists, but the extreme policies are coming from them. What we're trying to say is, no. We're not going down that path. They're spoiled little brats that aren't getting their own way, and they want to get their way.
They have been able, Bill, to steal, to cheat, to break rules and laws without any kind of punishment for years.
But you know what's happening during all of this? There is a bigger agenda going on, and I am, maybe we don't want to talk about it now, but I'm just going to set the stage, is that I have a lot of doubts about AI and the way things are going and what's building towards the future. Even investment groups like BlackRock that they sit there and they buy into companies because once they get that 10% threshold, they have majority vote and they change things. I look at a brand new AutoZone that was just built not too far from here, and now there's a list of 700 AutoZones that are going to be shut because the new investor into the company is going, now we're going to shut things down. Well, the only reason that they want to do that is, do you remember a few years ago? Wasn't that long ago? Well, everything's going EV. So, and they got rid of parts for cars. So your older car, they were forcing us into a certain direction. It seems that might be happening again, and I'm sitting there going, then you look at the AI thing. I'm going with robotics and AI. And even Elon Musk has said, well, it's going to be a utopia. Okay, in this utopia, how do I survive? How do I get what I need to survive? Or am I going to be under the government teat? And at what point in time are they going to, in the government, go, we don't need him on the teat anymore?
If you can't get things like auto parts for your car,
right?
Maybe you'll have to take mass transit after a while.
Yes.
By the way, because I went to my mechanic. I drive an older car, and I liked my older car. It's got low mileage. It runs I keep it in good shape. All right. I like the car. I've gone through my era of every other year buying a brand new car. I did that. I have a car now that, it's older than some of the kids on the street who are graduating this year. But that's another story entirely. So my mechanic says, Jim, it's a great car and it's running really great, but the problem you have is getting parts. Yeah.
See, now, one of the things, you might have been with that particular car, you might have been on the cusp of, the engine goes. There's probably an engine that will work with what you have without having to change maybe the certain harnesses, but your transmission, your tranny, and that will work to where you can pop in a new engine for $800, $1,500, $2,000, and have a new car. Some of these cars, newer models, from your point on, started having components that take a special component, and they don't make anymore.
Well, how many of those component parts were made in foreign countries? Maybe
just
China.
It. Look, I have a new car and I have an older car. It's a Jeep, which, is just empty every pocket is what that stands for. But it had a part that went the way of the Fagawi, and it was gone. And they didn't make it anymore. They didn't make it. And the car is not in classic statute. And I'm like going, well, I'll have to junk it. And then, I actually found somebody that had one of those vehicles, totaled it, but the engine was fine. I said, ooh, I'll take your intake manifold. And theirs was actually relatively new. And I said, there you go. That thing is ready for it's the knock-around vehicle.
Well, I'll tell you,
it looks like new.
My mechanic, who, by the way, has been around for decades, great mechanic that I have, he said the other problem is a lot of the newer cars you can't get parts for anymore. I said, what? He said they're so unique, and a lot of them are plastic parts, and a lot of them are high-tech parts. They're not readily available like parts used to be. Parts used to be, you had to keep on the shelf parts going back 7 years. And he says nowadays sometimes you can have a car that's 3 or 4 years old and it needs a part. You can't get it. You can't find it. So you were talking about your AutoZone going out of business.
Well, no, it's brand new, but I'm just saying the word is
they're shutting down a whole bunch of them, right?
So that could mean the brand new one, because BlackRock ain't going to care. They just opened it 90 days ago.
Hey,
shut it down.
3 or 4 years ago, they opened a brand new Rite Aid drugstore up the street from me, brand new, built it from scratch, from the ground up. Then Rite Aid, about a year and a half ago, went out of business, closed them all down. It's sitting there empty right now. It's gone.
Yeah.
This is a major change. I was just reading this morning. This is a real sad notice. It's an end of an era in Milwaukee. Schlitz, Joseph Schlitz beer.
Oh, come on, don't say
Schlitz, the beer that made Milwaukee famous, simply because it tastes so good. I see some things you never forget. They're being put on hiatus by the brewing company that owns them now, Pabst Blue Ribbon Beer. They own Schlitz. It used to be owned by a separate company. Now were bought up by Pabst years ago. But apparently they've decided to shelve Schlitz beer. It's been around, by the way, for 177 years. Almost as old as our country. Schlitz beer. So if you are a Schlitz drinker, tough Schlitz. It's not going to be around any longer.
When I go down to Louisiana, to visit some of my Cajun friends, I would say the other nickname they're called, but people would go, oh, but actually, people of color down there, they understand what it means, and it's not a racial slur, but we'll leave it alone. But one of the things you get up in the morning and you have your crackling, your Buddha, and
I have no idea what you're talking about, but it sounds like you do. So I don't know what crackling and Buddha is.
Okay, have you ever seen in the store the fried pork?
No.
The fat?
No.
Okay.
I have actually. I have. You mean like it looks like potato chips in a bag, but it's pork?
And it's big and crunchy. Yeah. Well, that would be crackling down there. Theirs is actually real crackling made. Boudin is sausage, but it's Cajun style. They make it. It's called blood sausage. And then, of course, you need to wash that down with a good morning drink, and that would be a Schlitz beer.
Well, they're going to have to find something else because they're out of Schlitz. They're putting Schlitz on hiatus. I love when a company says, we're going to be putting the brand on hiatus for a while. How long? Well, maybe forever, So anyway, they are it's sad to see these things happening. But getting back, Bill, way back to what we were talking about.
Yeah.
I want to play something. We'll do a commercial break here right now, and then I want to come back.
Place, sir.
Yeah, I want to play a piece of audio, which a friend of mine sent me. An old high school friend of mine sent me from years ago. The friend, the friend is from years ago. Yeah. The audio is brand new.
Oh, so it's not a wandering time machine piece of audio.
No, it is. It's a strange piece of audio, and there are a lot of people. Who follow along with it, and I wanted to talk about it. It's about 7 minutes long, but it's worth listening to. So we'll take a pause for the cause. Like and share the show. Tell your friends about Jim and Bill. It's Another Day. We're here Monday through Saturday. We have it'sanotherday.com or jimandbill.com. Those are our two websites. We have gift shops on the pages. So we'd love to have you stop by a gift shop, buy something if you can. And if you want to contact
them if you got them.
Yeah, that's it. And if you want to say hello to us, you can send us an email. It's very simple. Just drop us an email at mail@jimandbill.com. That's mail@jimandbill.com.
Wake up on the right side with Right Side Coffee.
Available at rightsideshop.com. So, Bill, this is a strange piece of audio that was sent to me. Let me set it up. There's an element of people, and I think it started really back after the loss of the 2020 election, who were looking for answers and solutions to the problem, trying to figure out how the thing could have been stolen. Because like President Trump, and Susie Wiles is the person I was thinking of, his chief of staff. Yeah. They have said we got the facts. We're gonna present this stuff real soon, and you're gonna find out just how they cheated and who they were. So it's apparently coming down the pike. But there are a lot of people back in 2020, 2021 who were on the internet just looking for something. And all of these different theories and storylines started to develop. And some of them were preposterous. Some of them, if anything, they were good stories. Mm-hmm. One of them that has developed and kind of taken foot, believe it or not. I know this is hard to believe for some people, but I'm going to go there because it's an explanation. There's an element of people, a group of people who believe, for example, that JFK Jr.
Right.
is still alive. You say, wait.
I've heard that before. Supposedly he was in Butler, too, you know?
Well, as a matter of fact, there's a guy who goes to many of the Trump rallies. You see him, he wears a hat, and it looks like he has some makeup on his face. You know, he has maybe a prosthetic nose. But he's always there, and he has an overcoat on. And people have pointed him out over and over again. And a lot of people online will say, well, that's actually JFK Jr. in disguise. He goes to the rallies, and people don't understand that JFK Jr., and this is a fact, JFK Jr. and President Donald Trump were close personal friends when he was alive.
They were buds, yeah.
They were buds back in New York. And the theory is that towards the end of the 20th century, these guys, a certain element of people like JFK Jr. and Trump, they started to realize that the country that they love, the country that JFK Jr., his father, was president of, was being threatened by an element of globalists who were trying to take it over. And they had to do something. And I guess it was determined, I don't know who determined this, that JFK Jr. was too high profile. Nobody would believe them. He had to be taken off the stage completely. They couldn't look to him during the growth time of the element that was going to fight back at this group. They couldn't look to JFK Jr. for answers because they wouldn't believe it, all right? So they decided that the best thing to do would be to stage his death. Now, this isn't me talking. I'm just explaining what this theory is. So they say that he staged, with the help of a lot of people, his death, and that he is still alive. And like Bill said, and you see him at these rallies, and you don't know who this mystery man is in disguise. This was released a couple of days ago, and I want to play it for you because it's going to make you go, It shows a picture of the very handsome JFK Jr., and underneath it says, JFK Jr. is back and the cabal is terrified. Now, again, you have to take these things
with a grain of salt.
Well, yeah, folks, we're going to talk about it. I'm going to play it for you. I want you to hear it because this is out there. And a lot of people believe this. And it's important that, and by the way, there are elements of what he's saying here which I believe are true. There are things that are happening right now, and I can point to them afterwards, that you're going to go, that's happening right now. So this is supposedly an audio, and I guess it's from JFK Jr. recently. This is how it's being sold.
The emergency broadcast system is primed. The 10 days of darkness are no longer a rumor. It's a global operation set to unfold at lightning speed. The world as we know it is shifting, and the takedown of the old guard has already begun. Sources confirm over 700,000 sealed indictments have now been unsealed. Arrests are occurring in every time zone. High-ranking Kabul members, from corrupt bureaucrats to rogue bankers and media moguls, are being rounded up. These are not symbolic arrests. These are operational extractions executed under global military jurisdiction. Military checkpoints are being quietly established across over 100 nations. This isn't about martial law. This is about global liberation. In the U.S., U.K., Europe, the Middle East, Africa, and Asia, special forces units, including Navy SEALs, Delta Force, and the British SAS have been activated under direct command of a multinational alliance. These teams are trained for surgical missions, extraction, disruption, and digital warfare. It's no coincidence that cyber experts and psychological warfare specialists have been recalled to active duty. The battlefield isn't just kinetic, it's informational. And that's where the EBS comes in. The emergency broadcast system will initiate a global communications blackout, not to silence the people, but to silence the cabal. During this window, the world will be shown documentary footage never before made public. Evidence gathered over decades. Crimes that shock the soul, from ritual abuse and child trafficking to financial slavery and unconstitutional surveillance. This will be broadcast worldwide, unfiltered, uninterrupted. It will be the final red pill. Satellites have been seized, backdoors into the internet neutralized. Military communications will be funneled through the new quantum internet powered by Starlink secure grid. Once the switch is flipped, the deep state won't be able to coordinate. The mainstream media, muzzled. Their handlers, already gone. And then comes the financial reckoning. The quantum financial system is now active. This isn't just about money, this is about control. And for the first time in modern history, the cabal is losing it. The fiat empire is crumbling. Offshore accounts are frozen. Trillions in illicit assets are being reclaimed and repurposed. The IRS and the Federal Reserve, both unconstitutional, both privately owned, are being dismantled. Quietly. Permanently, the new system is asset-backed, transparent, unhackable. It operates outside of SWIFT, outside of BIS, outside of Rothschild banking channels. It's a debt jubilee in motion. Mortgages, student loans, credit cards, zeroed. And yes, some Tier 4B individuals, the so-called internet group, have already been contacted. Redemption appointments are real. Whales have been funded. Bondholders are receiving liquidity. And the ripple effect will be planetary. Intel from trusted sources confirms that as of the 27th of June, redemption centers are live. Several key figures have reported payments in the hundreds of millions. Military operations in Reno, Nevada, the central node of financial coordination, have intensified. Private jet traffic has spiked. Secure digital transfers are occurring under blackouts. Bankers are saying it's done, no further delays. The system has crossed the point of no return. Even mainstream sources in Iraq are confirming it now. Purchasing power is being recalibrated. Forex screens are flickering with suppressed rates. The signals are everywhere if you know where to look. And then there's the 4th of July. That date isn't arbitrary, it's a constitutional trigger. President Trump, who has remained silent on certain matters for strategic reasons, is expected to declare the Second Declaration of Independence. This isn't politics. This is a full restoration of the original American Republic. The corporate U.S. Inc. dissolved. The IRS, gone. The Federal Reserve, replaced. This will be announced under the full authority of a military constitutional alliance. Every enemy of humanity, from the boardrooms of Davos to the tunnels beneath D.C., is being confronted. Some are already in custody, others are being pursued, but none will escape what's coming. As the EBS begins, the final phase of this awakening will unfold. You'll be instructed to stay indoors, stay offline, and listen. There will be no ambiguity, no confusion, only truth and accountability. We've warned for years. We've decoded every drop. Now it's happening. This is not the end of the world. It's the end of their world and the beginning of ours. Stay strong. Stay awake. Trust the plan. Because you are the storm.
Because we are the storm. Now, I'm going to tell you, folks, your first reaction probably is, oh, this is ridiculous. That's something you'd see on television, you know? But a lot of what he's saying, if you're paying attention, is kind of going on in our world right now.
There's a lot going on in our world right now. So there's a lot of truth to what he says. There's truth to what I want to say, that there's something to fear out there. Is that the exact scenario, or is it just to put certain people on notice that we're coming, it's happening? Something big is going to happen, and it's going to happen, when I say in our lifetime, I mean maybe before your next damn birthday. There are some interesting things going on. Do I believe that's him? Well, I'm going to say 80% no.
Okay,
You know.
he may just be it may be their way of getting the message out and people paying attention.
That's right.
You know.
And to scare the other side, wait a minute, because
Yeah.
there is a lot of hoopla out there. The fight in the cockpit when he went down, that audio has been released, and there's things to question. There's a lot of things to question, and we've always known that what they say is not always exactly is.
Well, the theory is that he wasn't on the plane.
Yeah.
Neither was she. That they actually had a like a Navy SEAL flying the plane, and I'm telling you the theory, friends. Okay, and I also do write fiction, so but apparently the Navy SEAL was qualified to parachute, and he apparently jumped out of the plane, and the plane did a dive, and in the plane were cadavers. You know,
Yeah.
they weren't the bodies of the. Look, this is all speculation, but here's what I wanted to point out.
Hyperbole?
Yeah. Here's what I wanted to point out. Let's talk about the different things that are happening right now. There are indictments that have been sealed that the Justice Department is about to dump on us, and apparently they're going to be game changers. Like I said, Susie Weil said we got a ton of them that we're going to be presenting to the people soon. There'll be no question about the fraud in the 2020 election. People are going to go to jail.
Well, and I will point out they have a ton of them. So, and I don't doubt that, because when they've tried to release certain little individual things, judges chime in, oh, you can't do that or this or that.
It may be judges too, Bill. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but what my point is, going back to Trump's first election and third election, I actually think he won the second election, but let's not go there. Let's talk about the first and third, runs. He overwhelmed the system.
Had
Too big
to.
to rig.
Yeah.
Had to.
Yeah.
So now they've got thousands of indictments getting ready to drop. You can't unilaterally blanket all of them. Something is going to slip through.
Well, here's what a lot of people believe. A lot of people believe that we're not going to get to that election. That if they unload the stuff that they're going to unload on the public soon, let me get to the point. If they unload this stuff on us and it's as bad and as corrupt as they say it is, it's going to be a game changer, and it may actually require martial law. If we get martial law, and by the way, the only way they can do that change to bring to get rid of the corporate United States and bring it back to the previous United States, the only way to do that is to initiate martial law, because you're going to be changing a lot of members of Congress. You're going to be doing arresting a lot of bad guys. It's going to be kind of messy if you believe what they're saying.
Well,
Okay?
let me ask you this. If things come down, all right, let's just go with it for a minute.
Yeah.
Things come down. And whether you say the conservatives represent 70% of the population
Yeah.
or 30%, either way, both sides of the populace are mad as hell, and we're to the point we're not going to take it anymore. So when and if you do that, they're probably going to, well, we'd never let that happen. No. If all the taint comes out, yeah, they would probably say it's time to make the change. And a lot of the things that you're fighting for and we've been fighting against, we've really been fighting for the same thing. It's just the way that it has been presented out there. We've been manipulated.
Would you agree that all of the turmoil in the cities over the last 10 years when there's a riot, they're anarchists. They are people who want trouble. They're troublemakers.
And it's going to get worse.
Yeah,
I mean,
I was
I got
just gonna
attacked
say that.
yesterday. I got attacked yesterday. I'm not going to go into it, but I got attacked yesterday by an attorney, and I smacked him down, but not that I'm a lawyer, because I am not. But, this guy came unhinged. And I'm like going, when you got a rat in the corner, it knows it's in the corner. You got a badger in the corner of your yard, it knows it's in that corner. You're going to see its teeth, and it's going to do a lot and it's dangerous in that corner. It may not win that fight when you're sitting there with a hammer or a shovel to bang over its head, but either way, it's a trapped, caged animal.
You're going to see a lot of that if we do the things that they say they're going to do. If they issue all of these edicts, and by the way, they're talking about. You heard them say July 4th will be the celebration of the second Declaration of Independence, and they said it's not going to be a new country. It's going to be reintroducing the old country to the people. What is new, folks, what they believe is new, I'm just saying what the theory is, the new country that we're living in right now started about 1878. It became a corporation.
Yeah, why?
Because it served the globalist needs.
See, that gets back to the rich and elite that control the world. And that gets to my fear of what's going on today when you talk about AI.
Ebola.
You talk about...
With the Ebola thing right now, tell me that's not something the globalists. Do you think that the globalists, I'm talking about the Bill Gates in the world, that it would break their heart if a large number of people died to bring the population back into check? To bring them. He has said the ideal populace of the globe is 550 million. China is 1.5 billion people. We're 330 million. A lot of people have got to die to bring it back into his alignment, his perfect population size.
There was a movie about this back in 2022. It didn't really go anywhere, but it was about some kind of like fake moon or something like that called Dias. But it was about the globalist that basically wanted to trick and take over the world. But I'm sitting there looking at everything that's going on. And I look at back in the original pandemic here, back in 2020. That was the biggest power grab that we've ever seen, because how many businesses, because we had to shut down and mask up, they went away. And that money went to, it went to globalists. We've done that. There was a big money grab. There's a power grab. You got it going on, AI and everything. When they talk about a utopia, they're not going to need us anymore at some point in time, and we're going to get down to that Bill Gates desired population, because we're just going to be...
How many kids suffered dearly because they couldn't go to their senior class prom. They couldn't graduate as a group together. They couldn't bring their families in to celebrate the occasion because everybody was masked up. I have a granddaughter, but when she graduated, it was during the COVID pandemic. And she and her classmates had to suffer through a graduation where they were, they had sat in circles and they were separated by so much distance, and they could only have so many relatives there, and everybody had to wear a mask. You couldn't shake their hand. It was just nonsense.
And they're trying to bring the mask back.
Yeah. Oh, they are.
And you lose your sense of identity with that mask. And you need a shot to survive. I understand people that supposedly got the shot and survived. There's another. Now, again, I haven't gone to do the research on it, so take it with a grain of salt. But some people are having health issues today where their blood crystallizes, and it's traced back to the shot, and basically their arteries clog up, and they die. Now, I'm sitting there going, you put something into people's bodies that had, that was not the norm.
It wasn't properly tested. It was not.
Well, what was it? I mean, it was not a normal vaccination. And what you got put into you, was. I want to give it a metallic feeling, but it was not organic. I guess maybe is the best way.
Hey, listen, I got 2 shots, and I've wondered every day, am I going to ultimately see an effect down the road because I got those
well, you
2?
can see better with that third eye that you got on top of your head now.
And I talk out of my. But that's another
never
thing.
mind.
Yeah,
I've done that before, and I never got the shot. So, because I've been told many times,
I had
Bill,
to say that. That was my disc jockey coming back.
People tell me, Bill, what you have to say really stinks. No, I mean, it's really foul.
Folks, we have to understand that these guys, these globalists, they have a plan that circumvents the laws of our country and the beliefs that we have as a nation. They have, when I say globalists, they think of the world as being all theirs, not just the United States.
They think of themselves as God, and that everything is theirs. And now, when they don't need us anymore to get what they believe is rightfully theirs, they will do away with us.
So who do you think they hate? They hate Donald Trump because he's a threat. For one thing, he should be a globalist. He's a guy worth $10 billion. He should. You know what? He's not.
I will tell the globalists this. Think about this. Let's say that you eliminate all of us peons, us peasants, and it's just you, the globalist of the world. Is that going to be enough for you? Or are you going to start looking to your left and to your right at the other globalists going, they really don't deserve to be up there, up here with us. So will you not eat your own at some point in time? Because that's what you're doing right now. And
these are sinister people, folks. They really and truly are. Hey, let's pause for a second, like and share the show. Tell your friends about Jim and Bill. It's Another Day. We're here almost all the time, Monday through Saturday.
Yeah. And we live here, actually.
Yeah,
I got
exactly.
a cot right back here.
It's a very nice cot, too.
Yes, it is.
Yes, but he's there. He sleeps in the studio, doesn't leave, and he hugs his microphone.
There's a stove and a fridge over there. In that corner, there's never mind.
And you're a happy man.
It's the loo.
Yes.
And it's all in one room.
But anyway,
I don't have to leave.
Enough of his personal life. Like and share the show. Tell your friends about us. If you want to contact us, maybe contact Bill and ask him why he's so lonely, you can send us an email to mail@jimandbill.com, mail@jimandbill.com.
Wake up on the right side with Right Side Coffee.
Available at rightsideshop.com.
I tell the mirror that I love you, and it doesn't tell me that back. So,
keep standing there and keep asking it. Yeah. Eventually, you'll wear it down. So getting back to what we were talking about with the globalists and stuff, and that bit of audio that we played, we have Maduro was taken out in Venezuela. He's in jail in Brooklyn now. We have an indictment yesterday on Raul Castro. Big deal. People say, well, why would you indict him? I mean, if he's still in Cuba, it doesn't really have an effect on him. Hey, folks, we think he's still in Cuba. We do, but In reality, he could be at Guantanamo for all we know. They could be keeping that all hush-hush. Maybe that's part of the secret. I don't know whether you're aware of this, folks, but there's a big exercise, naval exercise going on right off the coast of Cuba. We have the USS Nimitz aircraft carrier down there and its support group down there. Is that just a coincidence, or is the president winding up? This president, by the way, I believe this sincerely. He is trying to take out the globalists. That's why you see all of these globalist sycophants like Hakeem Jeffries and a lot on the left trying desperately to badmouth him and minimize Trump as much as they can because they're desperate. And by the way, folks, I hate to say this, and I truly believe this, he has never been in a more dangerous situation physically than he is right now. I watched him at the commencement ceremony at the U.S. Coast Guard Academy yesterday in New London.
Yeah.
And it was the first time in a long time where I saw the president do it from behind bulletproof glass. He had a complete, I think the stage was covered with bulletproof glass. You know, he usually is very open, loves being out in the fresh air and talking to well, not this time around.
Not anymore.
They had him buttoned up pretty damn good. And I think it's because the people know that the closer they get to revealing a lot of stuff, the more dangerous it's getting and the more danger that the president is in. He's already had multiple attempts in his life, including one not even a month ago at the Washington Hilton. This is
there's probably others that we don't even know about.
Right. Oh, I think you're absolutely correct. I think there's probably many others that we don't even know about. Some that are probably more dangerous than the ones we know about.
Well, let me ask you a question. You know, the left was trying to talk about it, but nobody really bit. All Trump did was say, yeah, it's there. And they were wondering about this letter to J.D. Vance that's in his drawer.
Desk drawer, yeah.
A sealed letter that they can't get to, and they want to know what's in it. And I'm sitting there going, well, it could just be, a cordial thing. Hey, it's the ball's in your court now. Good luck. Here's my notes and a word of encouragement. He does like to write letters. But I'm sitting there going, this guy has been accused of a lot of things, and it's apparent he holds a lot of cards. And the people that are assailing him, going against him, are sitting there going, they know there's a card with their name on it that he holds. And I'm sitting there going, is there something in that letter that says, all right, the ball is in your court. If you wish to carry it, here's the deal. Here's where all the stuff is. In other words, it's the Holy Grail to the takedown of the cabal.
Well, a letter in the drawer is not unusual. Most times,
no, it's not. Usually, it's done at the end of your administration,
right? And it wouldn't surprise me that Trump, who's been shot at, several times and threatened many other times,
right?
He probably figured, well, if
now's as good a time as any,
I might as well put a letter to JD now, because if he gets it, I'm dead. So, but I do think that this is the tip of the iceberg. I think a lot of stuff is going to come down. Folks, there are going to be a lot of people, especially the media, that are going to go bananas when he starts unloading on the left and the criminals on the left. And they're going to tell you that he's a dictator. They're going to tell you that he's corrupt, that he's doing a power play, that it's a takeover of government, unlawful. All of this stuff is going to happen. You're going to hear that guy down in Mark Kelly down in Arizona. He will come out probably and say something. Kelly, the senator.
Who?
Yeah, exactly. You're going to have him probably making nasty comments. But here's the thing. He's going to do it. This is why he's in office. Don't think for one second he's forgotten about all of the days that he spent in court being assailed by illegal lawyers and illegal justices trying to put his Fanny in jail. They even took a mugshot of the guy in a prison. They didn't even have the decency to set up a special screen in his office, President Trump's office, and do a mugshot in his office. They literally took him just about by the scruff of the collar and dragged him to one of the most dangerous prisons in Georgia and had him sit for the mugshot in a chair where every other criminal in that prison has had their mugshot taken. Of course, President Trump made a poster out of it. He figured, oh, yeah, watch this. But, they are dangerous. Like Bill said, they're in a corner. The left is. They know that the excrement is about to hit the fan. They know it's going to happen. It's going to happen, and a lot of people are going to go to prison, or worse. A lot of treason has been happening in our country. And how many times have you heard people say, oh, when are we going to see some action around here? We all know that's corrupt. Boy, how can that judge do that? He's just violating the law. How can that representative be so openly confrontational about that? And how can they steal all that money? They only make $170,000 a year, and they're worth $30 million after a year or two in office. How do they do that?
It wasn't their stock, and I saw the stocks that these guys invested just because they do invest in stocks. I think everybody has the right, unless you've got, even Pelosi. I think she throttles what you see. But even so, I'm going like, yeah, okay, she has insider, but she's not. She's apparently not that smart.
If
with her
you
insider.
did what she does, because she
I'd
can,
be in jail.
You'd be in jail. Insider trading, but because she's a congresswoman, it doesn't apply to her. She can actually benefit from insider trading.
Well, I mean, my thing on insider trading, you might become. Let's say you accidentally found out about something. Just you sat next to somebody on a plane and they spilled some beans. I guess technically you have to sit there and go, oh, I can't do anything about that. But no, I can't do anything about. But no, I can't do anything about that. Let's be real. You're going to sit there and go, I have the money, and that guy was legit, or that gal was legit. And you take that information and you invest with it. But then there's Martha Stewart, who pretty much did that thing. And the only thing is she, opened her yap about it. And so that's insider trading. That was somebody being stupid. Hell, it could be somebody trying to get your money because they're going to sit there and they look for a sucker to sit there and say, yeah, invest in this, Let's
talk about what's happening against Trump right now worldwide. What's his name? The Prime Minister of Canada.
Canada.
He took off to Europe to try to put together a coalition of countries to get together and fight Trump, challenge Trump on every different point globally. So most of our old friends, most of the countries in Europe that we actually saved from the Nazi threat less than 100 years ago, they would be our enemy, essentially. And it's happening right now. Look at, you have Spain wouldn't let us fly over or use our air bases in Spain to carry out the military effort in Iran because Spain is socialist, essentially. Even Italy, which I like Meloni, she was not cooperative during the first weeks of that whole operation. And you had England balking. They weren't going to send their military warships over to get involved in our war. Mind you, the Strait of Hormuz doesn't benefit us. The Strait of Hormuz benefits Europe. And if anybody should have been over there taking the matter in hand, it should have been those European countries. But that wasn't the case. They figured, let the Americans swing by the petard there, and we'll just sit on the sidelines and watch. Well, right now, Trump has decided, have you noticed, they're asking him every day, well, are we going to go back into war? And Trump said, I'm not in a rush. He said it yesterday. I can go back anytime I want, but there's no hurry. There's no hurry. He's literally keeping all of them. He's squeezing Iran and he's squeezing Europe at the same time because Iran started to file charge tolls, whether you know it or not, on these ships in the Strait of Hormuz. We learned about that yesterday. So even as they're being squeezed, they're getting some of the smaller boats out there and charging fees. They don't own the Strait of Hormuz.
They think they do.
But they don't. It is international waters. That's what it has been. And
well, let me ask you a question. That's piracy. The old pirates, where did they come from?
Well, a lot of them came from the Middle East back in the day. They weren't just Europe.
Yeah, so they're going back to their roots, are they? Or pirates?
Yeah, but here's the thing: pirates didn't have to deal with cruise missiles, so it's a little like it's a little
damn cruise missile.
You shiver me timbers, and what's that coming at us?
Let's launch a scud full of scurvy at them.
Yes,
there you go.
Well, they have got a situation now where I think Trump is going to end up having to. He says things like. And he said it yesterday. Well, we're really close to an agreement, but if they don't come to the agreement, we're going to level them, you know. I don't want to level them. I don't want to hurt anybody, but if I have to, I will. And, I mean, this is how and people say, why is he so ambiguous? Why does he vacillate go all over the place? It's because he's not talking to us, folks. He's not talking to you and I, Bill. He's talking to the Iranians because he knows that the Iranians are listening. And by the way, when they listen to him talk, their eyes cross. It's like, what the hell is he talking? Is he going to hit us? I don't know. He just said he's not going to hit us. He doesn't want to hit us, but he will hit us. I don't know what's going on with this man. He wants to keep them so off balance that they cannot figure out where he's coming from. Trump knows exactly what he's doing. He doesn't care about whether NBC Nightly News thinks he's on the money. He doesn't care whether ABC thinks he's smart. All he cares about is getting his way ultimately. And by the way, you know, during those elections that we just had yesterday, he had 19 endorsements and 19 victories. 19 and 19. 19 for 19, not bad. And by the way, next week, I guess...
Is that what you call 100%?
Yeah, and next week, I guess they have the Texas primary, and people are now saying that's the real key battleground to find out whether he really has lost. No, he's already proven he's got his punch. Just look at what's happened during the last few primaries. Okay?
Yeah, but they may want to try to figure out a way to upset that, and at this juncture, it's not going in their direction. So anything that you see that would go the other way towards them has definitely been manipulated. Don't be surprised if they don't try to.
Well, they're going to try to minimize him, and
they do that every day.
Yeah, and it's not going to work. He doesn't care. By the way, in that little report we played a little while ago, I do think he touched on a lot of things which are factual. You know, he may not be JFK Jr. saying it like they're saying in the video,
right?
But boy, he talked about the media, right? The media will be in check. Do you know what's closing this? I think it closes Saturday. CBS Radio News. CBS Radio News, which has been around for what? 90, 100 years?
Since radio began, yeah.
Since the beginning of radio, there was CBS Radio News. And all of a sudden, it's gone. And people say, oh, and a lot of guys in my business, folks, are, they're handing out handkerchiefs all over the place. You would think that they lost a family member. Oh, my God. And in a way, it is sad. And I do think that, by the way, they could have saved it and could have kept it going. I think it was there was a decision that goes beyond the superficial. It goes to behind closed doors. I don't think they're going to be the last. I think other things are going to change. I think you're going to see TV networks change their news programs. You're already seeing it with the late shows. Stephen Colbert, that wonderfully folks, I'm sorry. I never, ever saw anything about him that was funny. He was about as funny as getting kicked in the gonads, all right? And yet I hear these people on the left, oh, I'm going to miss Stephen Colbert so much. Oh,
did you get the email yesterday? Could you please watch Stephen Colbert tonight?
No, please.
They went to every person. Now, the interesting thing is somebody in the Republican camp released all the email addresses to the DNC so that they can mass mail not only just DNC people, Democrats, but Republicans as well. So they've done this to Fallon and everything when he was down in the toilet. Well, we got to give him one. Oh, it was a record turnout for him yesterday because people got an email and checked out of curiosity. And the funny thing is, you block that stuff from the DNC. Block. It's spam. They know they get blocked, and all they do is they just come up with a
maybe it's because I spent years watching Johnny Carson and Jack Parr even and Steve Allen. You may say, what? Yeah, Steve Allen did the Tonight Show.
Yeah. I watched the old reruns.
But all of these guys were funny. I mean, these guys were funny, and they weren't politically funny. They were universally funny. They were guys who could make you laugh and smile and giggle as you're getting ready for bed or while you're in bed. I mean, it was a wonderful time to be alive. You see, these were the true late show. Even Jay Leno was funny. And it changed. David Letterman initially, he patterned himself after Johnny Carson, and he was funny. But then David Letterman decided to get political, and he started to change the landscape of the entire late night programming business. And it's sad. It became a political class. It was like all of a sudden you couldn't relax. The laughter wasn't sincere. It was almost a nervous giggle when they made a remark about something politically. And it has never been uproariously funny anymore. I listen to young kids talk about Colbert and the other guys. They don't know. They don't know what real funny late night stuff is all about. They don't know how great it was to watch the true giants of late night television. And now Colbert is being shown the door by CBS to be replaced by, I think, a comedy show. I think it's going to be replaced by a comedy show, a generic comedy show.
Don't worry. They'll find a way to get Trump jabs into the comedians that they hire.
Probably. But the point is, I think you're going to see, Bill, a lot of things changing on the network stage. Look at Hollywood. I know we're running over. Look at Hollywood. They've forgotten how to make great movies. They've gotten all caught up in all of these new gadgets they can play with. They now can do a scene where they have a handful of people and a few props, and they can literally draw in a background from the 1800s, and it looks as real can be. And you'll say, boy, they must have spent millions on that set, when in reality, the actors and the actresses are performing in front of a green screen. On the set, they're doing the bare minimum. They haven't got all that wonderful stuff. The only thing they have on is the costumes. And all of the background is now being added in post-production because they can do it. But the problem is, Hollywood has gotten their tighty-whities in a knot. This is great. We can now have all these spaceships, and we can have all these So you've seen all of these monster movies and these alien movies and these sci-fi movies and these superhero movies, and they're all doing stuff that they could never do in real life because they have the technology. But the problem is, in doing all that stuff, they forgot how to make a great story come to life. They stopped making wonderful Hollywood movies. You know what I find out myself watching a lot of right now? I watch a lot of, on my handheld phone, I get a lot of enjoyment out of watching Laurel and Hardy clips. Laurel and Hardy clips. You want to know why? Laurel and Hardy, they were hysterical. They were funny guys.
Yeah, they made fun of life. And,
they did. It was silly stuff, and I'm sorry. Here it is. They were doing that stuff back in 1930 and 31. What's that, 80, 90 years ago? And they're still holding up. It's still funny stuff. They can't do that in Hollywood anymore. You know what's coming out, by the way, in the beginning of June?
What's that?
Disclosure Day. Disclosure Day. You're saying, what's that? You tell me that this guy doesn't have an influence on the news media. Steven Spielberg, even when I was doing Jaws, when I was in Jaws, all of a sudden, when they're getting ready to release Jaws, all of a sudden, news stories started to come out about how they had great white shark sightings off the coast of Cape Cod. Honest to God, I remember this like it was yesterday because I had a little part in that film. So you have now 2026. What are we hearing a lot of right now? President Trump has a lot of stuff, and he's going to start releasing it about the UFO sightings and the UFOs. Do we really have aliens in Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio? Do we still are they into lock and key? There are some that are still alive. My God! All of a sudden, Steven Spielberg is coming out with a movie called Disclosure Day, and it's not about the NFL. No, this is about aliens. We're going to have Disclosure Day. We're going to be told the truth. And the guy's going to make $1 zillion. I mean, I haven't been to a in-theater viewing of a movie probably in 10 years. I'll probably go to this one. I will probably go to see Disclosure Day because it has piqued my curiosity. But tell me, doesn't it sound like a coincidence that he has this movie coming out that's cost him $200 million to put together. And by the way, they used a ton of those special effects I told you about. And it's coming out. They want to get their money back, and they want to pack those seats. So all of a sudden, you have all these people talking about, we're going to release these files, and we're going to do this, and we're going to find out more and more about what the truth is. Folks,
well, who does he talk to? Because he's been a leftist since day one,
big time.
And I sit there and I look at I look at his stuff with Star Wars, and they get the lightsabers out there, and I always sat there and I said, blue is my favorite color, but I'm going like, why did Darth have the red saber, which is powerful and everything? And Luke had the blue saber. It was their depiction of good and evil.
Republicans and Democrats.
Republicans and Democrats. And that's actually, he admitted to that. It's the good and evil, right versus left. And everything he's done, admittally so.
I have literally been within
is a depiction
2 feet of him. When I was doing that little thing, I just want to say this is a point of interest. When I did a quote stunt in Jaws, and every time I would do it, I would have to go off and change my clothes, and then there'd be a waiting around. They'd be resetting the cameras and stuff like that. And I was talking to one of the prop guys, and his job was. The scene I was in was where you see the broken part of the dock being pulled. It's being supposedly pulled by the shark, and it's coming towards me as I'm swimming. You see my arms, and I'm flailing, and I'm trying to get back to the dock. I'm trying to climb up on the dock, and behind me, that broken part of the dock is coming at me. Oh, my God. It even scared me. But it was actually being pulled by a grip by a stagehand on the beach. There was a long wire that went out to the floating dock, which, by the way, was a real piece of dock, and it was maybe 50 yards away. And when they called action, his job was to literally pull on that wire, and run up the beach. And as he's running, he's literally pulling the dock towards me. Okay? Supposedly he's the shark. But as we're waiting, I said, boy, he's really doing quite the movie here. And the guy shook his head. Oh, he's such a pain. I said, what? Yeah, this kid, at the time he was 27 years old, Spielberg. Yeah, he's costing us a fortune. This guy was an old school movie guy.
Yeah.
He was an old school. He'd been around, back in the 40s and 30s. Yeah, he's costing us a fortune. I mean, he's way over budget, and he just can't make up his mind, and he's making it up as he goes. We'll never get this movie done. We got people coming in from Hollywood all the time trying to figure out what the hell he's doing with his time. He had a reason for being late. I mean, he had New England weather to deal with. But that's another story. I mean, you can see that, by the way, in one scene, you'd see the shark attack the boat, and it'll be a blue sky. And then they would go to the other side of the boat and look at the shark go under the boat.
The shark, I heard you do that twice.
That's my New England. That's my New England accent.
Yeah, you're slipping there.
I've been up since 4:30, and I'm saying shack, But anyway, the sky on the other side of the boat was cloudy, so you had blue sky on one side of the boat, and you had cloudy sky on the other side. That's because they were shot 6 or 7 hours after each other.
Apart, yeah.
But anyway, he didn't impress the people who worked in the movie business. He's a very lucky guy, and there's a lot of reasons they say for him being the success that he is. There's a lot of backstory to Steven Spielberg. He may appear to be a nice guy, but I don't know. There's a lot that we don't know about, and I'll just leave it at that. Bill, I haven't got anything more to add. I could go on, and I don't mean to get caught up in talking about Jaws and movies, but I just thought it was interesting that he has Disclosure Day coming out at a time when we're talking about UFOs and releasing files. We had Jaws come out when we had all these shark scares, and there's a lot of coincidences that seem to be happening. I don't know where we're going. I wanted to
hell in a handbasket.
Quickly. Anyway, do you want to take us out of here?
Yeah, I think it's a good time because you know what? There's always tomorrow. It's another day for us. So until next time.
I like that. Very nice. Very smooth.
Until next time. Hasta la vista, baby. We're out of here.
Who are we? And why are we here? Will we be welcome or possibly feared? Do we unite and stand tall as a nation of one? Or split and divide, or be mocked and shunned? Are our leaders patriotic, honest and true? Do they share our beliefs? Are they red, white, and blue? The truth is out there, you just have to search. Settle for less, you'll be left in the lurch. No left-leaning lies, no socialist swear. It's straight talking truth from your friends Jim and Bill. Are our leaders patriotic, honest and true? Do they share our belief? Are they red, white, and blue? side with Right Side Coffee.
Available at rightsideshop.com. All music the property of Jim and Bill. All rights reserved. This is CRN America.